What does it mean to be human? To live, be free, enjoy life, to grow up in a world that is fair and equal and has equal opportunity for all. You see, to be human isn't exactly defined by one specific set of rules. It is more an expression of multiple forms. It takes the shape of many different things. It's like water. It adapts to the shape of the cup. But if you ask me, a key element for having this ability to be a human, to live life, is to live in a fair, free, and equal world, which is one of the basic human rights. So the question is, what part does democracy play in this? You see, for democracy, we have freedom of speech. We're allowed to vote and express our opinions. Whereas when that's taken away from us, you can't do that. And in many parts of the world where there isn't an established democracy, people have a hard time with expressing themselves and focusing on issues that they believe are important. First step to getting any human rights or any movement going is to create a democracy in the areas that don't. That's the first step. Once that has happened, we have to make sure we use our civic responsibilities and partake in voting. We have to be active with our politicians and people in power. We have to maintain a constant interaction. We have to keep reminding them what we want. We can't make change by doing nothing. We have to do something. And that's the problem we have with our society today, is the fact that a lot of people are lazy in the sense that they don't partake as much in issues that they should. Also, a lot of times people tend to get caught up in issues, not with enough information or evidence to support their ideas. And it just all requires just a little bit more effort. That's called progress. Steve Jobs once said, "When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way that it is, and that your life is to live inside that world and try not to get in too much trouble, get an education, get some money, and have a family. But life can be much broader than that when you do one simple thing, and that is that everything around us that we call life was made by people no smarter than you. There is a plague spread upon us right now, a plague of profit and greed, a plague that we must exterminate. For it is our job, our power, our destiny, our mission to eliminate this plague. That plague is the profit and greed.
So, democracy. Great idea. It's amazing. But in terms of the resource problem that we are facing with right now, one of the major issues is that some countries don't have democracy. We need to change this. Because if they don't have democracy, they can't change things. They'll have some government who doesn't care about the environment. So, by making sure that everybody has democracy, things will be better. Second thing, when we have democracy, and we're not even focusing on this problem, that's a major issue we need to deal with. So, we should boycott the government. Make it, have protests. Make it so that so that the government knows this is an issue and we need to deal with it. The next thing is we need to also use stuff like social media. We need to make sure that everybody knows about this issue. Democracy makes it so that we, as a collective, can do something. Now, next from Trudeau promised that he would use $2.6 billion on the climate change issue. This is very good. We can use globalization in order to help other people, using a global system in order to see if a country needs this amount of resources, we can give it to them. If a country does not need any resources but has an amount of excess, we can use those resources to help other countries out, thus improving the waste.
Globalization has given us many things. It has opened up trade agreements that have brought us, silk, spices, technology, food, ideas, a lot of things. Problem is, though, in the modern world today, globalization has been used to exploit other third world countries for use of their resources, people, and their time and money. If you look at China, for example, most of the world's factories are centered in China. This poses a problem because China has a big issue with their air quality. A lot of people have to wear a mask so they don't get poisoned from the air or sick from the air. That's called exploitation. And that's what globalization has done badly.
So, how can people ignore things that are right in front of their face? Why? Because they're afraid. It's a sad truth. This is a truth we need to understand. Scientists have been talking about this for a long time. But now we can act. We need to change. The profit model has been ruining this entire country, this entire world. But how can we make this different? It's impossible. Globalization has made it so. But globalization can be used for something else. And that is for good use.
I think that we kind of just live in this world and we don't have any kind of real responsibilities that we owe the planet, that we owe Mother Nature for getting us here and providing us with what we need. Well, that's not true. See, we have these civic responsibilities that we need and require and we need to execute in order to maintain the planet and maintain certain things. Half the food we eat gets thrown out each year. You see, half the food we eat each year, that's a lot of food. And if we learn how to recycle that food and use it for other things, then that saves a lot of the water, the time, the labor, the energy, the resources that we need for other things.
We also need to fix the environment, make climate change less. We need to recycle more. We need to stop being lazy. Do something. Whenever we look at, landfills, we dump things without even looking for another use for them. We need to use less energy. People have been saying this new carbon tax, oh, it's terrible, we're spending so much money. But in reality, it's going to be a great thing. It's going to focus companies in order to change their ways, become more environmental. Also, it's going to help out the long term. If more people spend their money on carbon tax, that can help ourselves. That can help the future. Spend more money on climate change and figuring out more recyclable and reusable material. So the idea is, it's not hard. Make a change right now. That's our plan.
Recently, there's been this new carbon tax They're like, oh well, this carbon tax is costing me a lot of money. You know, I don't want to spend this money. Well, the problem is, people are very short-sighted when thinking of this. They're thinking about the present now. Oh, I don't want to spend $500 a year on a carbon tax. What's that going to benefit me, huh? You gotta stop thinking about you all the time. You gotta think about the area, the community, the planet we live on. And you gotta start thinking about how can I contribute to it, you know, instead of just taking all the time. You know, if Americans spend on average about $1,092 on coffee each year. Just on coffee, you know? It's like an addiction we have to coffee. And carbon tax also helps kind of force companies to change their policies, have different ways of doing things, you know? They, instead of using fossil fuels for energy, they might start converting to solar energy, wind energy, because they don't want to spend so much money on taxes. They want to save money. You know, companies' main goal is to make a profit and save money. So if we start taxing them for such things as carbon emissions, then they'll change their ways in order to save money, which helps the environment, which is a good thing. These are the civic responsibilities we need to execute and perform on a daily basis to help the environment.
We have a chance though. We must work together. We must start with an idea, a plan, an opportunity, a system, something that can liberate us.